Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit the 1991 Oscar-winning film, The Silence of the Lambs. So, grab your lotion and the basket, and get ready.
Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christine.
And this is Brian.
And we are revisiting Silence of the Lambs with Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster,
Scott Glenn.
And so funny, I'm looking at him, I was trying to figure out who it was. I had to look him up. I'm like, who is that? I knew him so well. Brian, where were you the first time you watched Silence of the Lambs?
Vividly. I was with Julie McDonald Alessi, and Julie and I, so we went to high school together and junior high together, I believe, and but we hung out all the time. We saw movies all the time. We would see scary movies. Like, truly, Julie was my ride or die. We would go to Blockbuster and rent movies, scary movies, a big bag. This is very, very, very funny and true. We would go to Blockbuster, rent a couple of VHS tapes, horror movies, the worse the better. And then we would go and get Smart Food popcorn and some soda. And I remember one time we were in the store and we were going through checkout. And the cashier looked at what we had bought, and she's like, wow, someone's having a party tonight. And it was just the two of us.
Oh my God.
Because that's what we would do. We would spend hours watching just bad horror movies. We liked to be scared. Funny. We didn't like goopy, gory, but we liked scary. Mm-hmm. But we'd also go to the movies a lot. And so we went to see Silence of the Lambs. And oh my gosh, I just remember being consistently surprised, gasping, being confused, being puzzled, and just feeling so satisfied that I had just watched something really well made. And I remember, because I was a big movie geek back then, that I'm like, it's unfortunate this is coming out. Because it's unfortunate it's coming out in February, because I thought, movies released in February never get Oscars because people forget by the time December rolls around. And so I was so excited when it got so many nominations, and then when it won, I was even more excited. And it was definitely this is a well-made film.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
And I was genuinely scared, genuinely disturbed. It felt adult to me.
It was, yes, I agree. I feel the same way. I saw it in the movies. Mm-hmm. I forget who I was with. I want to say it was probably my friend Jean, but I can't really remember that for sure. But I remember feeling the same way. It was a movie I had not really seen before.
Same. Yeah.
In that it was so calm for so much of the movie, but so creepy at the same time. And there was a lot going on, and I remember it not really following everything that was going on the first time. There was just so much happening, and I'm like, what is going on? How did you do this? How did you figure this? Why is she there? And I remember being confused about a lot of it, and I think it was mostly because I just really enjoyed the scenes with Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster so much. I was just sort of anticipating them getting together again. Mm-hmm. But I remember it being just, again, nothing I've ever seen before, and knowing, you just know it's a good movie. Mm-hmm. You just know it's something special. Mm-hmm. And back then I knew it. And it just...
Was there any particular scene where you're like, what am I watching? That you were genuinely this is different? Or was it just those scenes between the two of them?
Well, I felt... Throughout the whole movie, I felt that way, really. Mm-hmm. And just because I think it was one of those things where you didn't realize it until at the end. After the end, you're like, oh, okay, yes. And that's when you kind of pull it all together. Because you're almost feeling how is he connected to this? It's two separate stories happening. And it's how is he Hannibal Lecter connected to this Buffalo Bill guy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is he even involved? And you almost kind of have that mystery going, at least I did, in your head, thinking, why? Like, do they know each other?
Mm-hmm.
Does he know where he is? Like, and it was weirdly disconnected for me. But what was the original question?
Was there a certain scene where you were like... Yeah.
So the certain scene, like the Buffalo Bill character,
Yeah.
every scene he's in is so fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And the scene when he's... The one that I've always remembered and like was ingrained in my skull was his dancing naked in the mirror. And I was like shocked at... him, like, at that point, it didn't even occur to me that someone could do that. I don't own a penis. I don't know how flexible it can be. Didn't even occur to me that you could do that. And it didn't even occur to me what it would look like if you did. And I'm like, holy crap. He looks like he has a woman's body. And it was just like, that scene blew me away. The way they did it, and oh my god! What about you?
Well, I already talked about then.
Yeah.
Oh, but that dance scene.
But that's
when he tucks. So I mean, 90. I was 18 years old, and honestly, like that was something that I had never seen before.
No,
never seen someone do.
Who did?
But I remember being sufficiently confused because I missed, and of course, subsequent viewings later, like there's that moment where he's like. You can tell he's doing something to himself. He's like making a face in the camera. And apparently that scene is in the book. I'm sorry, it's in the book, but it wasn't in the screenplay. And when the actor, I think his name's Ted Levine, or Ted Levine, read the script, he's like, wait, where's that scene? He wanted to do the scene. And of course, and I read that he ended up having a couple shots of tequila. But he asked them to put that in there. Because he's like, you have to give this guy like another layer, like another layer of what he really is, wants to sort of look like, and just, give him some like. And
you get that layer. You get almost a little, like you get that empathy.
Did you?
In that particular scene, a little bit. I mean, you know how fucked up he is.
Well,
like, he is absolutely screwed up in the head.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question. He's like a psychopath.
Yeah.
But you do get a little bit of like, oh my god, he just really wants this.
Yeah.
And this is who he sees himself as being. And yeah, I felt a little bit of sympathy for him.
I mean, he's wearing the scalp of a woman on his head.
Yeah.
Like the hair, and you can see the outline of the skin on his head. Like, I mean, it's, but to the early point with the tucking thing is like, I didn't know you could do it. And I have a penis. That's what I had one. I have one, and like, I mean, and I honestly was like, I truly have never tried that before.
Oh my god.
And,
did you try it after to see if it worked?
100%. And it works, and I think, it's like, and I think with drag queens, like, that's what they have to do to give that illusion.
Not to get too personal, but it's gotta hurt. It doesn't hurt?
Not really. I mean, you're not tucking it, like,
right.
So far, it's like you're not tucking it as far as it can go. You're just tucking it to create that illusion.
Yes.
But it's like, I think, I did try it, and it's like, it's so weird. But but it's so funny, because it's like, but when I watched the first time, I was like, oh, what is going on here? Like, oh, was he born without a penis? And then you realize, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you get that kind of like, oh my god.
Yeah, and so jump into now.
Sure.
Because I think the one thing we have to say, there's a documentary. Okay.
Can I just say one thing? I'm so sorry. We didn't say it beforehand, but we are social distancing right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to let the viewers know that we are like in a long room, far away from each other, and
we're projecting our voices. We're a good 7.5 feet, I would say, away from
easily.
Even more than 6 feet.
I just wanted to throw that out there because we didn't do it at the beginning.
Yeah,
go on.
Wear your mask, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So so jumping into now, I think it should be said that there's a documentary on Netflix called Disclosure. I don't know if you've watched this yet, and it's about transgender representation in pop culture. Mostly is what this is about. It's a great documentary. I recommend it. This movie's called out particularly because in the 90s, you know, and we've talked about this with gay characters. There's
Yeah.
so few gay characters in LGBT representation in movies then and even now. And it's like, so when you have representation, you are hoping it's positive. This is not a positive representation.
No.
But I will say I actually screenshot something that the director said because this was getting some you know, commentary that this is not a great sort of thing. Let me. Oh my god!
And I have something to add to it too.
So upon
because of that same exact.
Okay, so here's the thing. So this is a controversy. This is just from Wikipedia. Upon its release, The Silence of the Lambs was criticized by members of the LGBT community for its portrayal of Buffalo Bill as bisexual and transgender. Although Bill's sexual orientation is never explicitly stated, and Lecter expressly states Bill is not really transsexual. Yes. In response to the critiques, director Demme replied that Buffalo Bill, quote, wasn't a gay character. He was a tormented man who hated himself and wished he was a woman because that would have made him as far away from himself as he could possibly be. Demme added that he came to realize that there is a tremendous absence of positive gay characters in film. Much of the criticism was drawn towards Foster, who critics alleged herself a lesbian.
Yeah, it's so funny that you're even doing that because look what I have. I have a screenshot of the scene of when, because I remembered them having that conversation.
Yeah.
And it was I thought it was an interesting conversation to have because Hannibal is telling Clarice, actually Clarice says this, I think, that there's no correlation in literature between transsexualism and violence.
Right.
And that transsexuals are very passive.
Yeah.
And then that's when Hannibal says Billy is not a real transsexual.
Yeah.
And then he goes to say that there's the places to have surgery and that he wouldn't have been surprised if he had applied for sexual reassignment surgery. And then he goes on to say what you said. Billy hates his own identity. Mm-hmm. He says, Billy hates his own identity, you see. And he thinks that makes him a transsexual.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like that is the kind of like that conversation sort of saves them.
Yeah.
In terms of...
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up.
Poor representation. Yeah. Because I saw that right away. You know,
This is like a problematic thing.
It's problematic. But I really appreciated that conversation that they had.
Yeah.
Especially that whole, there's no correlation between the violence and all that. So that's interesting that you found that with the director's information.
Yeah, because I've been watching this we just watched the documentary Disclosure, and this is called out, and it's, but yeah, watching it, I was like, oh no, this poor confused transgender transgender person. Not at all. It's not designed that way.
No,
this is
it's really not. This is
violent
just a
person.
psychopath who's wearing a woman's skin.
He's misidentifying or trying to
hiding
his rage. He's hiding his disturbance, and it's manifesting this way. It's not the same thing.
It is not the same.
Anyway, so jumping in again, and we've talked about this on the show many times, how I didn't remember how fast it got to Lecter. 12 minutes in, you're meeting Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
If you had said to me, when do you meet Hannibal Lecter? I would have said, 30 minutes, 35 minutes in. That's how I remembered it. And you meet Hannibal Lecter right away. She climbs a mountain. Jodie Foster's Clarice climbs a mountain, does this obstacle course, and then boom, I need to send you here to talk to this guy, blah, 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 blah. Be careful.
Yeah.
And 12 minutes in, it's that. And you know that Anthony Hopkins, this is the trivia, that he's only in this movie for 16 minutes.
And that blows me away, too.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a performance.
Mm-hmm.
What a performance. I've been speaking a lot today. To be in a movie for 16 minutes. And he won the Oscar, right?
Yeah, for Best Actor, yeah.
He deserves every second of it. I found it to be interesting how everyone is so creepy in it. Did you notice this? So even from the very beginning, like Crawford is a little creepy when you first meet him. Chilton is definitely creepy.
Yeah.
Even obviously Anthony Hopkins is creepy. Like, I found it really interesting how the whole tone of the movie is very creepy. Even when she goes to the renter space there.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that she's standing with, he's like a character.
He is a total character.
Yeah, caricature, I guess. He's like the, kind of like this evil
He's like
troll.
the Monopoly.
He's like
the Monopoly
Yeah,
man.
he's like the Monopoly man in a troll head baby. So I thought that was good, but it really, it added to the whole, like, feeling of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I appreciated it.
Well, so there are a few things beyond the creepy feeling. This is actually some fucking like gross, creepy things. I did not know the first couple of times I saw this movie that the man throws jizz at her.
You didn't know? Oh my god! I remember that so clearly.
No. I remembered that scene. I don't know what I thought he was throwing in her hair.
So how old were you? Young?
No, I was like 18.
Oh my gosh.
I remember he said, "I can smell your C."
Yep.
He's the C word. Looking back now, I think maybe what was going on is maybe I was like a little afraid what he was doing. I thought he was hurting himself.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was maybe doing something like with his wrists, and he was. But But
like,
it's
just a weird, crazy animal
I'm
kind of character anyway.
I don't know what he was going to throw at her. And I think maybe, I don't know what I thought. I really don't know what I thought it was.
You must have thought it was spit or something.
Spit, yeah.
Yeah. That is... I mean, so much about this movie was so great anyway, but that scene of her walking down the corridor of this... I mean, it's like an asylum, prison. Like, it's like Azkaban. You know, it's just this really old, dreary, very dimly lit, and you're walking by complete psychopaths. I mean, that's nuts. I remember it being so scary then. And then you're walking, and you see the weird guy at the beginning, and then you see the crazy guy, like Monkey Man Meeks, telling her all kinds of awful things. And then you walk up and you see, and you almost are relieved to see him because he's just standing there, but he's still terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. To walk up, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The scene, like, just the whole scene.
He's just standing so still.
And there's like a spotlight on him.
Yeah.
And he's standing very still and straight. And he's just like, has that expression, that Anthony Hopkins expression. Oh my God. And then if this is after she's been warned up and down, like, don't go near the glass. Don't
get personal. Don't talk about your personal life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like really a great setup to meeting him.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, so I did take notes, and I will tell you that so here's where my notes begin, like, or rather my first notes end. It says, I can smell your C. Okay. My very next note is, take this thing back to Baltimore. Oh my God, I love that line.
It's
I love her.
That interaction between the two
senator,
of them.
And the senator meets Hannibal Lecter face to face, and he's like, I love your suit. Like, that seems amazing. But the reason why I stopped taking notes is because I was mesmerized. I was so drawn in all over again. Mm-hmm. The acting just between the two of them is so strong. You are brought into Jodie Foster's world, I think mostly through her silence, because she's learning. She's you're with it. She doesn't know. She knows a lot. She doesn't know everything. And what I found interesting, and I didn't catch it then, certainly not then, was that, like, for as much as the physical stuff she's being put through in school, she uses ultimately none of it. And, like, you can argue something at the end, sure, but for, like, a second at the end, but for the most part, like, she's doing all this physical training, but it's all her intelligence and her deductive reasoning and her really thinking through. And you could even argue she learns more from Hannibal Lecter than she learns through all of this education.
100%.
So I think it's like, it's interesting, but I didn't catch that then. And I appreciated the movie sort of subliminally suggesting that, like, all of this physical training is not going
It doesn't matter.
It's not going to help her solve this mystery any faster.
So, and she was phenomenal. I mentioned Anthony Hopkins, but she was phenomenal. Did she get Best Actress? She did.
So this movie, really quick, won the top 5 of the 5 Oscars. So it won Picture, Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Screenplay. There's only 2 other movies in the history of film, or the Oscars, I should say, that have done that. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest did that, and It Happened One Night did that. So, but this is like a really the 3rd time in history that's ever happened.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well deserved. She was great. She didn't speak much, and a lot of her acting was through her expressions. And you could see it was great because you could really feel how nervous she was and how she was trying to hide it. And I thought she did a fantastic job of being someone trying not to be intimidated by someone who clearly can read you from the second you walk into the room. And she's trying to figure out like what he's going to do with that information and how she's going to get information from him. And, and a lot of that is just through her like little tics and her little like her putting her eyes down or...
Well, he says to her at one point, and I didn't catch it. There's a lot you catch as a grown up. But he says something to her. He asks her a question, and there's a pause, and he's not even looking.
He's
at her.
not looking at her.
And he says, "You know the line." He says, "I'm guessing the answer is not on your shoes, Clarice." Right. Because she's looking down, and he knows she's looking down. So meaning, I already know I know your tics already.
And that is what is so terrifying about this guy. Like he is so smart. He's a psychiatrist, just like a psychiatrist. And he's got her number immediately, which was crazy to think about, like how nervous she must have been. I also I don't have many negatives, but one of the only negatives I had was I find it a little bit hard to believe that they sent her in to do this. And I'm sure, I think they mentioned it. I think they mentioned it somewhere down the line that they did it intentionally because he would not see her coming and he wouldn't expect, her to be there doing their bidding or whatever because she is so green. But at the same time, like that's dangerous.
So here we go. This is my big challenge with as a grown up now, knowing the danger she's in, knowing all this. That's something that to the film's credit, I was still totally energized by this movie. I was sucked in. I felt the tension.
Sure.
I was, even where all the twists and turns are already, but you're still into it. But that is where the biggest hurdle for me is like, maybe they didn't know she was doing all this stuff behind the scenes and she was, but listen, but then I take to task like Clarice as a character where it's like, okay, within 5 minutes, you're getting jizz thrown at you. You cut your leg on a broken garage door. You find a head in a jar. Like, Ardelia, like the friend, bring your friend. Ardelia, help her. Like, she's telling Ardelia, and then
she's doing this all by herself.
Do it. Get a friend. Help. Why are you going anywhere? In all her training, she's always with someone. So it's like, why, except when she's climbing the mountain, but like, why wouldn't she knows better? Clarice is a smart person. She knows better than to do all this stuff. She knows from, like you're saying, that first 10 minutes, this is a dangerous situation. She just stays in it. And it's like, but she's going back to her home base over and over again.
Yes.
Say, hey, Ardelia, do you want to come with me? I have to crawl under, like, a broken garage or, just find a head in a jar. Can you come with me for the rest of this adventure?
Yes.
Here, because the truth is this. We know this is all gearing up to the scary house, alone in a scary house thing.
Yes.
Imagine a different movie where Ardelia is with her.
Yeah.
And they walk in the house together. There's James Gum. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's him. You run out and find a payphone. I'm going to stay with him. That would already be like, oh, Clarice is smart. She's sending her, Ardelia, like, or we're like, let's both go after him together. Ardelia gets hit by James Gunn with a frying pan. She falls down. Like, at least.
But I think that's a little bit, so, yeah, and I understand what you're saying, but
it's her name, right? Ardelia?
I think so.
I think so.
But I already, even just in your description, I already feel like 80% of the tension is gone. Like, I feel like the reason why there's so much tension is because she's doing this alone.
Okay.
And I think it's intentional she doesn't ask for help. And it's sort of noted very subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, throughout the whole movie, that she is alone. She is disrespected as a woman. And she's trying to make it like on her own and prove herself.
Yeah.
So I understand why she didn't ask for help. My question is, why didn't Crawford, who isn't a trainee, he's, this head of this everything, they've sent people in there, they know how dangerous he is. Mm-hmm. They know what's going on. They have all the case files, mm-hmm. right? They know his whole background. Why is he allowing her to do this on her own? Mm-hmm. Like, that's my problem. I understand why she's doing it on her own. She has shit to prove.
Yeah.
She's trying to prove that she is capable as the men. There's so many scenes where she gets looked up and down.
Yeah, that's right.
By, like, a group of guys.
Please, she's walking through the airport, and that guy, like,
they turn
walks
around.
in front of her to turn around and look at her. And it's like...
bizarre. I mean, I know it's intended. They did that intentionally. I think they did it maybe one or two times too many.
Yes.
But I understand her motives because of where she's at in life. She doesn't have anybody else in her life. She doesn't have any friends. She's used to being alone. Mm-hmm. She has that one friend from the academy, but she doesn't have any family. She doesn't have any sisters or anything. So I get where she's coming from. She's trying to get a promotion, and and maybe that's why they chose her, because they know that she's not going to question it or something. Mm-hmm. But it still bothered me that the people higher ups didn't take her safety into consideration.
Well, I wondered if they knew as deep as she was going. I mean, they knew about the her visiting Hannibal,
but they had to have, because who's funding her? Like, she needs. Someone's funding her in terms of doing all this research.
They know she found the head in the jar, so they know she's doing some stuff from the... Yeah, true.
She's not just doing it on her own. She's reporting back, and they're like, okay.
You're exactly... Yeah, you're right. Whoops, here we go again. Because she does say, I thought of what Hannibal said, and he said, look in yourself. And for Moffat or whatever, and and I remember there's a yourself garage, because she wouldn't be that
Right.
So he knew that she was still doing these things on her own. I agree with what you're saying, and I still struggled with these very dangerous situations that she was like, I'm doing it, and I didn't know, because she's very bright, and
she is very bright. But remember, too, at the end, when she is visiting this house, right? So I had to actually rewind this part, too, because I was like, why did she go to this house? Because she already had this conversation with the guy saying, we know who it is, we're on our way to arrest him, blah, 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 blah. But he does say, we want to have this connection between him and this woman, Penelope, the first woman that was killed. That was the reasoning why she stayed and continued to interview people. So she wasn't necessarily looking for the kidnapped girl at this point in time. And as far as she knew, he was already being arrested. So I think when she is going, she doesn't think it's as dangerous as a situation as it is. Right now, she's just at this, and it's not until she's inside the home and she sees the moth flying around.
Yeah.
And she's recognizing that she saw a couple of things. I think it was, did she see some sewing or something?
Yes.
And that's when she unhooks the gun, and she's like, okay, I've got something going on here.
Yeah.
So I can't see her asking for help then either. She's just going there to check out this victim's house.
Mrs. Lippman. So it's Mrs. Lippman was the one who was teaching this woman. What is her name? It wasn't Penelope, but something like that. But it was she was a teacher. She was helping her learn how to sew. Mm-hmm. This is this Mrs. Lippman character who is later found in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And so she goes there. She still goes there even though there's all that happening. I remember truly being confused, with the doorbell, and the door opens and it's
her. That was so good.
Wait, what?
I loved that. Because the whole time you think that they've got
Yeah.
the guy.
Yeah.
And they're going to the house. I loved that
Yeah.
whole orchestration. I totally got
It was so good.
completely fooled as well. And then it's like terrifying when she opens the door and she's there and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
they're at the wrong house.
I know.
It gets so good.
It's so chilling.
It's
And like
so
when
chilling.
she's like, can I use your phone, please? He's like, you want to use my phone?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Why is like laughter so terrifying?
Laughter is so...
Like,
you don't know. The
little
most terrifying part about him... it is a little strange because he is able to be normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I found it would be difficult for him to act so normal, being as psychotic as he actually is.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a struggle for me. Like, okay, I'm not sure he would be able to pull that off in normal day, but who knows? And it doesn't track very often. When she's in, so when the victim is in the, whatever it is, the ditch.
The well. Yeah,
Whatever it is.
And she's screaming.
And she's screaming, and she's like, please help, help. And he's looking at her, and he's just going, ah, ah. And I'm like, oh, God. Like, he was terrifying anyway, and then that just brought it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this woman does not stand a chance.
Same. And I remember when she looked up at the well and she sees the fingernails sticking up.
Oh my God.
Blood.
All the blood splatters.
Oh
my God.
And the fingernails sticking out.
And she was a fantastic actress.
I have that note. I didn't write her damn name down. I can look it up. But it's like, I wrote Catherine Martin is an amazing performance.
She was a great...
She is angry. She's screaming like a psychopath. She thinks...
She's smart.
She's super smart. And she's a great character. And she also, like, even when she has the groceries... And she knows, she's like, this is so stupid, I shouldn't be even helping this guy.
You can tell she knows it's not a smart thing to do.
Yeah. And just terrifying. And she's so good. I'll look at
she is very good.
It's Brooke something. But yeah, she's so good. I love that whole idea with, like, the senator and, you know, showing the clips of, like, her as a little girl and saying her name. And said, oh, it's good she says her name. He'll think of her as a person, not an object. And I kept, you know, I think with that ending with, like, the house thing where it's like it's just her running around, and it's like how else that could have gone. Like, if she had run out of the house, jumped in her car and driven away, I guess then he would have killed the girl and ran away. Like, what was she, like, what? It's so tricky because I think that in that moment, it's like, she's smart, and I know it's just a movie, but it's like, you're following her for almost 2 hours in this.
Yeah.
And suddenly it becomes this thing. Because to be honest, like, that even, this is, I didn't really love it this time around, the ending. Mm-hmm. There's a couple things, and I'll get to the other thing in a second, but, like, it's like when he's putting his hand out, I think it goes on a little too long. It's like, is he going to kill her, or is he not going to kill her? Because then,
I also felt like it went too long, but I loved the scene because it really shows you how inexperienced she is, how terrified she is, and she's making all these mistakes, and he could easily have just killed her.
Yeah.
But I felt like it showed even more how psychotic he was. And he kind of gets lost in her. And he's watching her, and I think he was really kind of getting off on watching her being so helpless.
Yeah.
And, you know, to the point where, and it wasn't like, I think it was just he got lost in it. He felt comfortable enough that he wasn't going to get caught at that point. And the fact that he got so close and he just wanted to touch her, that to me, I understand what you're saying, that it did kind of go on too long, but I bought it because he is so disturbed.
Yeah.
And he was just wanted, at that moment, like, it's almost like, I think he just forgot where he was, and he wanted to reach out and, like, touch her. Oh my
Well, and then like she's shaking so badly with the gun.
And she's shaking.
With like the gun in one hand. And I was like, I mean, even I know you should hold the gun with two hands.
Yes.
Like, but she's one of those situations where she's so terrified she doesn't know what else to do. So my other thing, and it's quick, and we can, because I know I've been talking a lot, but I had a little bit of an issue with Jodie Foster a couple of moments. There's one scene where, and it's that acting thing, where she's like telling the story of the lambs, and she's like, so cold, so cold. She does this 3 times now. Then she does, so heavy, so heavy, and then I don't know. It's like that repeating thing. And I think
I know. I actually noticed that a little bit too.
I think because after like decades of seeing movies, it's just like it's one of those just cliches that I don't think humans really do that. Like that, like repeating the same line twice, like for emphasis. It's like we get it. We get it the first time. I also don't know. It's like if you really think of that scene where she's telling that story right before that, she jumps into that pretty quick, and it's a lot of emotion. That was where like that's all.
I felt like the story needed to be a little longer and build up to that point of that vulnerability that she is sharing. Yeah, I felt like it was lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
In such a strong movie, they could have added another minute of a story.
I agree. Anything else you weren't crazy about?
Yes. There's a couple things that I felt like could have been done better. Where am I doing? Where am I? Oh, it's the investigators. So the scene where she's trying to figure out what kind of insect it is, and she bumps into these two guys.
Right.
I just thought that was hokey. I thought they were very cartoony.
Yeah.
And like a little bit too like nerdy. Like, why did they have to do that? Like, why did they have to have like these two little nerds being like,
to be honest,
like I just didn't buy it. I just thought they were too cartoony in this.
Well, they were supposed to be comic relief. Like,
yes,
I bought it and I liked it. I thought it was fine. Like because to me, that's who the Clarice character would have appealed to. Like I didn't buy all like the guys like checking her out every night. So, I mean, like I no disrespect, but it's like every single guy is checking Jodie Foster, and I think it's because there's that world. There's not that many women in that world, but it made sense that these geeks thought Jodie Foster was the coolest thing ever, and like they were flat out. I mean, he was flat out asking her on a date,
and that's fine.
Okay, but
I just thought they were like too goofy, geeky, too goofy. Like they could have had geeks there that weren't so cartoony.
Fair. Yeah. I think the movie was probably like, God, we have so many, to your point, so many weird, dark characters. Let's just make these two goobers, like these two geeks, you know?
Definitely. Then the other part that I did not love, that I thought could have been done a little bit more professionally, I guess. So the whole scene when Hannibal Lecter murders the 2 police officers in his cell. Yeah. First of all, that was amazing. Mm-hmm. That whole thing was brilliant, I thought. Fantastic. Loved it. However, the elevator scene. So, in the lobby, or whatever, there's this whole group of police officers. Like, clearly they know who this guy is. They know the level of security that's supposed to be there, right? Mm-hmm. They're in the lobby, and now they're seeing the elevator. Oh, the elevator's going down. Wait, it's going up to 5. Who's going up to 5? What's going... Oh, wait. It's going back to 3.
And then one of them... Then the woman yells, look! And, there's, the arrows going down again.
Yes. It is, the dumbest scene... it's like Police Academy dumb. Seriously? You have, 20 police officers just standing here watching the elevator. You know there's a crazy person on this number of 3 or 5 or wherever he was. And you're not concerned? Obviously you are a little concerned. Take the freaking stairs. Go find out what's going on immediately. What is going on? Yeah. That was very unrealistic to me.
But didn't they send some of the people on the stairs? Eventually, yeah.
Eventually. But I mean,
oh yeah, they did it after they saw the blood dripping. That's when they sent the person upstairs. They waited
the
too long.
whole thing was very bizarre.
Yeah.
The whole thing was very bizarre.
Well, you know what's funny about that though? Wait, remember what he does? I feel like when the elevator got weird, he says, "Close off a 10-block radius."
It takes a while for him to do that. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't happen right away.
Okay, all right.
I remember they're all like staring at it for like the longest time. Like, oh, look at this elevator. That's weird. And it takes a while for them to actually react to the fact that it's going. Like they ask people like out loud, why is it going up to 5? Like they actually have like a conversation about it where they should be like, hey, that's not supposed to be going to 5. Someone check it out. Go upstairs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
you're right.
It would have been more realistic, I think.
Yeah.
I
I didn't catch that this time around. I kind of bought into like the comedy of that in its own weird way. Yeah. But you're right. It's like, you know what it is? It ties back to the Clarice thing. It's like you've established that these are very smart, highly trained people that are picking moments to act kind of dumb, and I think that's where the movie.
And maybe they're trying to make the police officers seem dumb. I don't know, because it's like the FBI versus the police officers or something. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this. So then I remember falling into that I thought I didn't know that was Hannibal with the face of the other cop on.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, a great twist.
Great twist. And so, but now it's like, but I will say this, like now I'm like, why didn't I catch that before? Like it kind of looks like Hannibal laying on the floor from a certain angle. Like even though he has the skin on, but the contortions of his face and his body.
Yeah.
Like it was like, yeah, why didn't I catch that then? But it's like you're not even thinking.
You're not even thinking about that. Not at all.
Very
and you
smart.
see the elevator going up. I mean, that's the brilliance of this movie. They did so many things that had never been done in a movie before.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was, and I don't even know if that's been done since, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
and when he ever
masquerading
in the ambulance, when he pulls the skin off his face, he's all blood red.
Oh, it's so
terrifying.
good.
It's very good.
So good.
Anthony Hopkins, some trivia. When they left the cell in his other scenes, he wanted to be in white because he's like, people tend to fear like dentists and doctors, and they always wear white, and he liked that like he could be more terrifying in white when he's sort of outside of the cell, the basement cell, not the fifth floor cell, so to speak. Really quick casting. Instead of Jodie Foster, the original choice of Jonathan Demme's choice was Michelle Pfeiffer.
She would have been good.
I think she would have been amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, I love Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster was so good in this, but I think Michelle Pfeiffer would have been.
She would have nailed it. She's such a great actress,
amazing.
And it would have been a little bit more believable with everybody checking her out too. To be
My
honest,
God.
I mean, no offense to Jodie. Let's face it, she's not a typical like.
No, she's not
pretty
thought of as a
girl.
sex symbol. She's
and
not
the
a
other
sex
thing
symbol.
too is she actually seems like Jodie Foster seems stronger. Like a stronger person than Michelle Pfeiffer's, and just looking at looks.
Yeah.
So I could see it being more believable as a Michelle Pfeiffer character trying to make it in a man's world.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jodie Foster
to be taken seriously.
Seriously,
that's right.
Jodie Foster's so serious and so,
Yeah. Michelle Pfeiffer, I'm telling you, there's two of my favorite performances of hers, and one of them is The Deep End of the Ocean, and I don't even like that movie, but her performance in that movie is so good. And then I love What Lies Beneath. I think she's so good in that.
She's so good. She's one of my favorite actresses.
Then, for Hannibal, John Lithgow.
He would have been great too.
And this is a strange one, but Sean Connery.
I don't think he would be good.
No.
He's too charming. Like,
yeah,
like handsome-ish. You know, like John Lithgow's great. Did you ever watch Dexter?
So we talked about this before, and no. I watched like the first 3 episodes of season 1, but everyone says like that season 4 is like...
Season 4 is probably my favorite. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. His performance, John Lithgow's performance, it rivals any other performance. He'd be great. Do you want to take a quick break?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back to discuss more of Silence of the Lambs.
Yay!
Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pulp culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back talking about the Silence of the Lambs. I don't want to cut to the chase on this, but did you enjoy it? I know you have some more things to say, but
I do
more
have a
or
few
less.
a few more things to say. I enjoyed it more, I think.
Really? Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say, because I enjoyed it more. I think I could relax a little bit more and really pay attention to a lot of the little other things.
Yeah.
But one of the things I appreciate most about this movie when I first saw it was the element of surprise.
Mm-hmm.
With the there were a few different things with him escaping, for instance.
Right. Yeah.
That whole thing was huge. Such a surprise I didn't see coming, which doesn't happen very often. I think with you too. Can usually predict if something's going to happen in a movie, and this completely surprised me. And the knocking at the door thing. Like, those two surprises were such huge parts of the movie for me loving it. So I really loved that. But looking at it, knowing those surprises, I was able to really appreciate some of the finer parts of it. I loved it. If not as much, maybe even more. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's a good point. It's still super enjoyable, even if you know every turn and twist and how it ends. Like, it's still a very enjoyable movie.
And definitely recommend it. Oh my God, definitely recommend it.
Yep, and I feel like, really quick, the scene with the autopsy...
we didn't talk about the autopsy
when they
scene,
rub the mint under their nose so they don't have to smell the corpse.
Yep.
Like, that's done so well, and you kind of feel like you're learning something.
Yes.
Like, I love... That's probably one of my favorite scenes, and it's certainly not glamorous or fun to look at, but like I liked the way that whole scene was handled. I liked how they show them passing the stuff around for the bottom of their nose.
It seemed very realistic.
It felt like I think that's what it was. It was like it wasn't sensationalized.
No,
it wasn't
I don't even think there was any music in the background.
Right, it wasn't gratuitous. It was like done very well.
And they don't show the body right away.
That's right.
Which is, I think, very effective. They show it little bits, pieces there, and then you start seeing little parts of it, and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
You see that her face, and she's trying to be professional, but you can still see the disgust.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the camera in the background,
yeah.
which I think is amazing. I loved that sound effect of that, like the flash.
Yeah.
See, a little old-fashioned.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they still do that, because it wasn't that old that they would use that, 50s-style camera, but it was a great sound effect for everything that was going on.
I think because the flash had to be so bright, I guess.
I'd be interested to find if that was true. But it was great. I love that. I thought it was really smart not showing the body at first.
Mm-hmm.
I love that scene. It was a great scene.
Yeah.
I thought was funny, and it kind of pulled together afterwards. I thought about it, but leading up to that scene, it's actually done in a funeral home.
Yes.
And there's a funeral taking place.
Yeah.
And then they show up at this funeral. And they're gathering in the lobby. And I'm like, all I was thinking was like, what the fuck? How disrespectful this is to the family who's having the funeral.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it kind of, I guess, made sense after because they had to go into where they would have the autopsy. But and then I was like, do they really have autopsies?
That was my question.
So it was a little bit of iffiness in that. But, and there was so many people around. Like, I don't know. It was just sort of a strange kind of thing there. A couple of final notes. I did like... One of the things I really loved was hearing about her assessment of who the serial killer would be. based on her like FBI training,
Mm-hmm.
and that was interesting. Like it's like what you said before. I feel like I'm learning things
Mm-hmm.
in this movie, which was kind of fun. She's like, "Oh, it's a white male because they usually strike in the same race. They have their own home." Because they need privacy for what they're doing to these women.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the 30s or 40s because they need to be
strength.
Have that physical strength. Like, and it was great hearing that assessment. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool how they kind of go through that. I also liked seeing the FBI training, like all the different aspects of the training that was going around.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'd move from room to room, and they had like the rifle training.
Yeah,
I thought that was good. Like you're kind of learning some stuff. One of the more creepy scenes was after he murders the guards. He just stands there listening to classical music.
Yeah.
And all you see is the bloodbath around him. And he's just like silently listening to the music.
Well, and then one of the cops is getting away and he grabs the the club or whatever.
Yes.
Really quick, Brooke Smith is the actress's name.
Oh,
plays
good. Yeah,
Catherine,
yeah.
and Diane Baker plays Ruth. Really good really good performances.
Great performance.
Yeah.
And she was great when when Jodie Foster, Clarice, finds her, and she's like, I'll be right back. She's like, don't leave me here, you fucking bitch. She's like screaming. I'm like, yeah, I think I would say the same thing.
Do the same
if I was in that hole,
thing.
I'd be like, get the fuck over here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Totally great.
And I did laugh when she's like, Catherine Martin, FBI, you're safe. I laughed at that. And actually, when I saw it then, everyone in the movie theater laughed at that.
Yeah.
That is a funny
funny comment. Did you notice there's a swastika on his quilts in his home? I just happened to notice that. I'm like, oh, interesting little placement of that.
Oh, I don't think I noticed that.
Yeah, kind of like very subtle. They don't mention it, obviously. It's a split second. And one thing I really, really appreciated when she finally shoots him and the light comes in from the window, which was nice. They didn't have to like flick lights on.
Yeah.
Cute idea. She kicks the gun away.
Yes.
Finally, someone
in
thinks
a movie.
In a movie.
Yeah.
Kick the gun away.
Yeah.
And then my only other negative.
Yeah.
I hate to leave it on a negative, but it was the last scene. The very last scene. I love the last scene. I love the phone call. I love that he's having an old friend for lunch.
Yeah.
Really funny, cute, giggled. He hangs up. Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter. It's like,
we know she's a fan of repeating herself.
But he hung up.
I know.
A long time ago.
So cold.
Enough.
So cold.
So cold.
So heavy.
Dr.
So
Lecter.
heavy. I don't know. Well, Dr. Yeah, exactly. And I think like it was done for dramatic.
Yeah, but it was
but
dumb.
It's like dumb.
You know what he should have done? He should have walked away from the phone and have it hang, and then it wouldn't have hung up, but then they would have been able to trace it.
Exactly.
So.
That also, you know what my thought was, and this is me being older now, like, this fucking sucks for her. It's like, she almost died 18 times, and she's just graduating like everyone else.
Yeah, I know, she's just one of many.
They're all like, yeah, thumbs up. It's like, thumbs up!
It's like,
she caught a serial killer!
I'm ready to retire at this point, buddy.
I'm gonna take a year off, bitches. Yeah. Like, she just caught a serial killer, and she's like, Clarice Starling.
Yeah.
It's like, give her, what did they even get, a gold star? It's
well,
like, you caught a serial
cake
killer.
was pretty impressive, though. The cake of the
but it wasn't
FBI
just
seal.
for her.
No, but I'm just saying.
She had nothing special.
No.
She almost died. Good, nice work.
Well, she's alone in the world. She doesn't have anybody in the world.
Nice work, Starling. That's all she got.
She got us, yeah.
Maybe she'll get the job. With
we'll let you know.
Crawford.
You're going to have to interview for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piece of shit. That's where I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather be Ardelia. Like, it's like, you know what? I'm just going to...
Every time you say her name, it's a different name, I think.
No! It's Ardelia. It's like, I'm just going to, like, do my thing, and I'm still going to graduate, and I'm going to listen to all my horror stories from my friend that I could help, but I choose not to.
Oh my God.
She doesn't even offer. Alright, so let me see what else.
Alright. Do you have any other thoughts? Because I still think we have some questions.
Yeah, we have questions. That's it. That's all I have.
Such a good movie. Highly recommend.
Such a good movie.
Alright, so I have an FMK for you.
Really quick. Budget, $19 million. It made $272 million.
God.
Amazing. All right, good.
It's incredible.
Released on
Makes you want to go out and make a movie, right?
Right? By the way, released on Valentine's Day.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God. How many couples went out on
Yeah.
like a Valentine's Day date? That'd be great. You ready for your FMK?
Yeah.
All right. It's not going to be easy, I don't think. Sorry. So we have Hannibal Lecter.
Of course.
We have Crawford.
Yeah.
We have Chilton.
Got it. Ready?
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Did you already predict that was?
Yeah, that was mine. Those are the three I was going to give you.
Oh, funny.
So, kill Chilton.
Okay.
He's gross. I don't trust him. He's slithery. He's slimy.
Yeah.
At least Hannibal Lecter's like in your face. I would be having, I guess, sex with Hannibal Lecter.
Okay.
And I would marry Crawford.
So.
I mean, pickings are slim.
Pickings are very slim. I got the married right.
Okay.
But I would have flipped him around because wouldn't you be afraid, like in the middle of the sex, he would just like take a bite out of you?
What I would do is I would paint a very conflicted, tortured picture of myself so he wouldn't want to kill me. Because he likes Clarice because she is flawed and she has some baggage. He didn't, he's...
You could pull that off.
I would probably go to him as a patient first. And be like, I'm so
Didn't
messed
he kill
up.
his patients, though?
Hannibal Lecter?
I thought he killed some of his patients. Maybe not.
It was this... He mentioned the census taker. I don't know. I don't think he killed his patients.
Maybe not. Yeah, he probably had some sympathy for them.
Yeah. I think that's what he liked about Clarice.
Yeah, I would be I wouldn't be able to relax if I had Hannibal Lecter as a lover.
Ready? Well, it's only once. Maybe it's only once that you'd have sex with him.
True, yes, true. I think, yeah.
Maybe I'd wrap myself in like a...
I just do it quick.
Like a tarmac or...
I'd take him from behind.
Hazmat.
I'd put one of that mask thing on him.
Here we go.
Okay.
Hannibal, the Cannibal Lecter, really starts his habits early.
Oh, boy.
In fact, every morning, instead of a bowl of Captain Crunch berries, he has a bowl of Captain Crunch blank. Oh my god.
I have two answers. One ties closer to the movie, and one seems more like an answer. I think I'll just do the answer, because if I was on Match Game, I would want the one that I feel like most people would say.
Okay, yeah.
Alright.
Alright, will we match? Will we match? Again, Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter starts very early. In fact, every morning, instead of a bowl of Captain Crunch berries, he has a bowl of Captain Crunch...
eyeballs.
Ooh. Sorry. Eyeballs wasn't even on the list from my mind.
Interesting.
Toes.
That's a pretty
I think
good
that
one.
would be cuter. They'd be cuter in a bowl.
The little eyeballs rolling around. Come on, that'd be cute. I almost said tongue, because he mentioned several times how he ate tongues out of people.
Oh, true.
So I almost did that, but I'm like, that doesn't have like a good ring to it.
Yeah.
Well, either way. Good answers.
Great movie. Revisit it. It's on Netflix currently, so.
Yeah, great episode. I mean, great movie.
And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.